A lot of people are struggling financially these days with inflation, shrinkflation, and low wages taking a big bite out of their bottom line. But there is hope. Let's welcome Krystel Reid Heath, Chief Strategist and CEO at Capital Consulting Strategies on this Money Monday. And we're so glad, not a moment too soon, to have you come here because it is a really tough time for a lot of people who are trying to navigate these uncharted and unpredictable financial waters, isn't it?
It is. It's great to be with you. Certainly, Increasing Hope and I, we've partnered to make sure that people have access to financial resources. So whether you're a small business owner and want to know more about financial literacy, or you're an individual and need help with your personal finances, there's something for everyone.
And there's no secret that really none of us have been taught in school how to be financially literate. So a lot of us are trial and error as adults, but you do offer wonderful resources for people to really get in tune to their finances and how to increase wealth as well. So maybe you could talk a little bit about just where people are falling short these days.
Yes, so it's going to be a community-based conversation. So we recognize that whether you're a CEO or whether you're an individual working for someone, you still have to balance your checkbook at the end of the day. And so our event is going to make sure that people have access to resources. And because it's a community-based conversation, we're going to have legislators come and talk to people about what policy solutions are available. We're very fortunate to have Representative J.A. Moore, Representative Landing, and Senator Bennett with us to discuss solutions to issues that Americans face every single day.
Yeah, we've had them all here on this program. And I want to also talk about the work that you do in the state capitol, because you've brought a lot of legislation forward to help low-income South Carolinians, whether it's through incentives or other ways in which they can kind of increase the number of dollars in their bank account. So what are some of the things that you're working on? I know passed through the Senate, things are headed back to the House, but what programs are currently being talked about up there?
Absolutely. So we have about 3 weeks left in the legislative session. There are a number of bills that have been introduced. For example, there's Senate Bill S-557, which is an apprenticeship bill, which provides up to a $6,000 tax credit to employers to have an apprentice, which is so essential. So we recognize that there's a direct correlation between education, and not always a four-year degree, but education or technical training, to make sure that people have access to those resources. So policies like that actually build the workforce and give on-the-job training is essential. There's also bills that have been introduced about inclusionary zoning to make sure that we have more affordable housing. There's no surprise that, of course, in Charleston that there's a shortage of affordable housing. So having creative solutions like expanding the low-income housing tax credit, making sure that people can afford to work where they live, but also making sure that we look at the correlation between employers and affordable childcare, which people wouldn't think.
It's true. And then going back to the affordable housing, what I find really interesting in this particular legislation is incorporating houses of worship in that conversation. So how do you go about blending the two?
Yes, so Representative Gilliard introduced a bill that would allow churches to build affordable housing units tax-free. And so when we're thinking about different solutions, we want to have all partners to the table. And if there's solutions that are community-based, we want to make sure that those partners are at the table, because we recognize that we have to have everyone at the table to solve this. Yeah,
and going back to the child care issue, a lot of people, they have to work, but then they end up spending all of their salary on child care. It's not a very win-win situation here.
Right. Certainly there's a policy solution, there's a solution for employers. So certainly employers want to have strong working employees. But to do that, you have to bring your full self to the table. So if you're worried about basic necessities, food, shelter, where you're going to be safe, it makes it more difficult to perform at work. So we have to have solutions, community-based solutions to do that. And we hope that people will join us for the discussion to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, and every year you do have a money fair, and you just had one on Saturday, but you do have these annually. So what can people find at these fairs? And if, for those who have missed it, where can they find more information?
So increasinghope.org has a plethora of resources. In addition to their annual money fair, they also have seminars and trainings, sometimes weekly or monthly, everything from how to balance a checkbook to personal credit repair to how to qualify for a business loan. So though this is an annual event, if you missed it, there's plenty of opportunities to have additional financial training and opportunities. From a policy perspective, we're always looking at policies and resources. We really want to facilitate public-private partnership and discussions. And so if people need more information about policies or want to better understand the landscape, we'd be happy to provide that information.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate great information.
Thank you for having me.
We're back after this.